Brace yourselves. Lent is just 12 days away. Hello from St. Peter's in Hove. Hello from Hove, UK, if you're joining us from far away. Last time I talked about Lent and how we need to prepare for Lent and get ourselves into gear before Lent actually hits. I talked about food. So much of our life revolves around food, doesn't it? I mean, our day is broken up by breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then of course in England you always have 11s and you always have something at 4 o'clock. 5 meals a day. I know that people work hard and so on. Maybe they just have a sandwich at the desk, but we punctuate our day via our food breaks. So what do we need to do? Well, as I said, do some fasting and change gear through fasting. Make Lent a special time, a time in the desert with the Lord, and remind yourself every day that it's a special time because your eating habits are going to be very different. Now, fasting with food is essential, I think, because food is so basic to us. But then, of course, fasting has an extended meaning, which means going without things, giving things up. And there are other things you can give up for Lent. Now, but I think you've got to give up the food things as well. So there's no substitute for giving up the food things. It's the extension of the food fasting. One thing, of course, that many people will want to do, and if you've got children, it's a good idea to suggest it to them, and that is to regulate and minimize or even abolish completely the time you spend on social media. It could be a good idea to get off Twitter and Facebook for Lent. Oh, I know you're seeing this on social media, so maybe that's not such a great idea. I shouldn't really be sort of saying don't watch any improving videos in Lent at all. No, I think, though, we have to regulate our consumption of social media, regulate our time in front of screens, regulate our time in front of the television. If everybody spent as long looking at the tabernacle and the Blessed Sacrament as they spend looking at the television screen, imagine how the church would be transformed. So if we, let's say, restricted our time looking at screens during Lent and dedicated some of the time we've saved for praying or thinking about God, our lives would change. And of course, there are other things that we can go without during Lent. Sleep can be quite addictive, particularly now we're coming out of winter. Maybe now is the time to make a really good resolution to put the alarm clock on. Put it on, actually, it would be a good idea, but if it's already on, put it on for an hour before or half an hour before. Gain a bit of time which you can use for good works or for praying or for reading or for some of the things that God wants us to do during Lent. So those are some of the other fasts we can do. We could do reduction of sleep, reduction of spending time on social media, reduction of time looking at screens, but also, I think, generally speaking, reduction of time spent wasted, the time we fritter away. Only 24 hours in every day, but we do spend quite a lot of our time, I wonder what I've been doing all morning, or what I've been doing all afternoon, what have I been doing all evening? And sometimes it's quite hard to give an account of that, because we've just frittered the time away. So let's use our time well for Lent. It's coming. Lent is coming. 12 days to go. All the very best. Have a great evening.